Everyone, welcome back. You have hopefully finished yesterday's assignment by now. You can find a better introduction to 30, 60, 90 right triangles if you did. So we have two different kinds of right triangles that we're going to be thinking about for target C. 45, 45, 90 is what we did last week, and 30, 60, 90 is what we're going to be focusing on this week. This is the last new thing that I'm going to teach you before your spring break. So thank you for hanging in there this long and continue to do so just for a couple more days. So hopefully you did the Kahoot from yesterday and you feel better about how to label these three sides, because I took a whole day to do that because it is so important that you know how to do each label. So we have the short side, which is across from your shortest angle. Your smallest angle is side 30. You've got your long side, which is across from your bigger angle, which is 60. And then your hypotenuse is always the same. Remember, everything in this highlighted box is going to be given to you on a test. So you don't need to memorize it, you just need to know how to use it. In order to find the short leg, that's going to be whatever x is. The long leg is going to be whatever x is times root 3. And then the triangle, the hypotenuse in the triangle is going to be 2 times x. And so the first things first, when we have these problems, is we are going to label all the sides. So I like to always put, when I'm doing 30, 60, 90, I like to always see the 30, the 60, and the 90. So here's my 90. There's my 90. I have my 60, and then so by process of elimination, this side over here, that corner angle has to be 30. I like to have all three of those there so that I can go ahead and label all three of my sides. So from there, I'm going to label what my hypotenuse is. So again, here's my right angle. So across from there is going to be my hypotenuse. And then I have I gotta find my short side, so I'm gonna go find my smallest angle. So my smallest angle is always gonna be 30. And so the side across from my smallest angle is my short side. And then I'm gonna go find my long side. By process of elimination, you may already notice that it's going to be right here because it's the only side with nothing on it. But it's my long side because it's across from my bigger angle, which is 60. We're only thinking about 60 and 30 here. So we want to find the missing sides. So the missing side is going to be, we're missing the short and the long side. So for these problems, you're always going to be given one of the three pieces of information. And so I am given my hypotenuse here. And kind of like how we did 45, 45, 90, we're going to write down what we have. So we have with this 45, 45, 90, or I'm sorry, this is a 30, 60, 90. We have the hypotenuse. So we're just going to rewrite what we have. 10 is my hypotenuse. 10 is my hypotenuse. And then I'm going to go over and look at my rules, though, and see what that tells me about the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 2 times x. So I'm just going to write that down. So you want to write down what piece of information you were given and what the rules say that's equal to. So we were given my hypotenuse, which is equal to 10, but that's also equal to 2x. So we're just going to write now, we have 10 and 2x. So the hypotenuse is equal to 10, which is also equal to 2x. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up setting these two things equal to each other. So I have 10 equals 2x. And then I need to solve for x. The goal here is to find the missing side, and I can do that if I figure out what x is. So in order to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by 2. That goes away so that I have 5 equals x. Now finding x is helpful for me because I have found one of my missing sides. If we go and look at our rules over here, the short leg is equal to x. So I found my short. My short is equal to, whoops, let me get rid of that. My short side is equal to 5. Alrighty. I apologize that I don't have so much room here. I can move this down though. Let me move these. Alrighty, so hopefully you understand how I got x to be 5. And then I also got my short side is going to be 5 because based on my rules in this box right here, my short side is equal to x. So my short is equal to 5. That's one answer. And then we need to figure out what our long side is. So now when you find what x is, go back and look at your rules. My rules tell me that the long side is x times the square root of 3. Do we know x? Yes, we do know x. So then my long side is going to be x times the square root of 3. And we know that. We know that x is equal to 5 times the square root of 3, where I just substituted in what x was. I just substituted this. And I can't clean that up any further, so my long side is equal to 5 times the square root of 3. So my short side is 5, and my long side is 5 times the square root of 3. We're going to do more examples, so if you feel that you are not comfortable yet, that's totally fine because we have more where this came from. So let's move on to question 2. Let me block all that off. That's all for question 1. Question 2, again, you want to start these problems exactly the same. You want to figure out what your angles are. So I have 60. I've got my 60. I've got my 90. And so that must mean I'm missing my 30. And so, whoops. So there's my 30 right there. And then from there, why does that keep happening? 30. And then so with that, I have, now I'm going to label small, big, or small, long, and hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse is what I always do first. That's across from my right angle. So there's my hypotenuse. My short side is always across from my 30-degree angle. So here's my 30-degree angle. So across from there is my short. And then my 60-degree angle across from there is my long side, or you can do by process of elimination. You need to make sure that you understand how these are being labeled right here, right now. If not, please pause this video and send me a message right now and we can figure that out. With that being said, your next step is going to be to write down what you have. The only piece of information we have is right here when I tell you that the small side is equal to 6. So small is equal to 6. Alrighty, then your next step after you label what you know is to go to your rules. What do we know about the short leg or the small leg? Well, my rules tell me that my short leg is equal to x. So that must mean that my short side is going to be x. So that just tells me something important. We still know that my short side is equal to x, so that must mean if my short side is equal to x based on my rules, but my short side is 6, that must mean that x equals 6. Alrighty, so then now we can figure out what my long side is. Let's go to our long side. My rules tell me that my long leg is whatever x is times the square root of 3. So my long side is whatever x is times the square root of 3. Do I know what x is? Well, yes, x is equal to 6, so the long side must be equal to 6 times the square root of 3, and I cannot clean that up anymore. So that's what my long side is equal to. Then we need to figure out what my hypotenuse is. My hypotenuse, well, let's go read our rules. My hypotenuse tells me that the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times x. Do I know what x is? Yes, I do know what x is. X is equal to 6, and so my hypotenuse is equal to 2 times x, where x is equal to 6. 2 times 6, either in your calculator or off the top of your head, is 12. So that's what my hypotenuse is equal to. My hypotenuse is equal to 12. So my missing sides was my long side and my hypotenuse. And so I've got those for now. You should be following this along. You should be writing these as I write them too, because I'm going to erase this 12 equals h right here because I'm out of room. I can rewrite it up here. So h is equal to 12. But I'm going to erase this stuff now because I have to do problem 3. So I'm going to erase that 12 is equal to h. And I'll draw a line just in case you want to know where that work is from. But other than that, we are going to move on to question 3. Sorry, I don't have lots of room to work with. But we are making it work nonetheless. This is a team effort, and I am on your team. Alrighty, so we have this problem right here, number 3. Again, you want to label all 3 of your angles. We want to make sure the 30, the 60, and the 90 are there. So here's my 90. Here's my 90. I've got my 30, so that must mean I'm missing my 60. So I'm gonna put 60 in that corner. Alrighty. And then now I need to label my hypotenuse, my big side, and my small side. So I have, here's my right angle, so across from that is my hypotenuse. Then I'm going to have, my short side is across from my 30 degree. So here's 30 degrees. My short side is right here. And then with that being said, my 60 degree has my long side. Okay, so that's helpful. And so make sure you know how to get to this point, please. If not, again, pause this video, send me a picture, and send me a question on Remind. I'd happily help you. But your next thing to do is write out what you have. You only have information for one of these three sides. So I have the piece of information that my long side is equal to 4 times the square root of 3. So let's just write that down. My long is equal to 4 times the square root of 3. That's a horrible 4. Let me fix that 4 so you know what that is. 4 times the square root of 3. Okay, awesome. And now your next step is to go look at our rules. What do our rules say about the long leg? That means the long leg is x times the square root of 3. So let's just write that down. So my long is equal to x times the square root of 3. Alrighty, well, once you write your rule down and once you write what the side you have, compare these two things. My long side is 4 times the square root of 3, and the rule tells me that I take x and whatever times square root of 3. So if these are equal, then these need to look exactly the same. So the longs line up together. Whoops, let me undo that thing really quick. Please pay attention to this part very carefully. My longs are going to line up together. My equal signs line up together. My 4 and my x are going to line up together. That went away. My 4 and my x are going to line up together, and my root 3 times my root 3 line up together. If these two things are equal, then everything that lines up must be equal. My root 3 is equal to my root 3. That's true. My equal sign is equal to my equal sign. That's true. And my long is equal to my long. So that must mean that x is equal to 4. So let me erase these green circles now because hopefully you're paying attention to that. But if my long side is equal to 4 times the square root of 3, that was given to me, and the rule says that the long side is equal to x times the square root of 3, then whatever is in front of my square root of 3 must be my x. So my 4 is in front of my square root of 3, and that must be my x. So my x is equal to 4. Does this give me one of my sides right away? Well, yes, because one of my sides is equal to x. My short leg is equal to x. My short leg is equal to x. So my short leg is equal to x. So x is equal to 4, which is equal to my short leg. Alrighty, then I need to know my hypotenuse. So I already know my short leg. My hypotenuse then, my hypotenuse, go read your rule. My hypotenuse is 2 times x. Do I know what x is? Yes, you already told me that x is equal to 4, so it's going to be 2 times 4, and so my hypotenuse is equal to 8. These are my two answers for question 3. I will do a new video with questions 4, 5, and 6 for you. I will do a new video for questions 4, 5, and 6 for you, but please make sure you understand 1, 2, and 3, and I will do a video for 4, 5, and 6. Please, before you move on to the next video, please let me know if you need any help on the work here. Please be paying attention as I write these things because as you're looking back on it right now, it's not very neat, and I apologize for that. In my next video, I'll make sure I have lots of room. Alrighty, please let me know if you have any questions, and your only work today is to fill out the notes, so please go on to the next video once you feel ready.